Hi, my name is Brittany Woods,
Hi, my name is Abby McMillan.
and today we will be analyzing.
Daughters of the Dust by Julie Dash.
This is for our Black Cinema course, Communication 363. So, one of the sources that we will be using in conjunction with the film is a article. It is titled "Exiled at Home: Daughters of the Dust and the Many Post-Colonial Conditions" by Catherine Cucinella and Renee R. Curry. One of the big themes that they talk about within this article is isolation. The first example of isolation is the fact that the Sea Island Gullahs, who are descendants of African captives, live separate from the mainland. So they are literally separated from the rest of the United States. And they are also separated from the rest of society culturally. Throughout the film, we see that the way that they live is just different from what we would consider to be the modern way of living, even during that time.
Not only does this article focus on isolation, but what the trend during the movie that it focuses on with the characters and their development is exile within their family community.
So, for example, Trula, throughout the film, one big aspect of her character was the fact that she did not talk, and that was a form of isolation. Also, the women in the family isolated her from themselves. She was automatically labeled as a woman that was not pure or wholesome. And through the family isolating Trula also becomes sort of isolated from Yellow Mary, which is who she came with. You can see through the family isolating Trula how it kind of creates some distance between Trula and Yellow Mary.
Another character that experiences exile within her own experiences is Viola. She ends up leaving the mainland and basically becoming assimilated to Eurocentric culture, and chooses Christianity over her ancestors and the spirituality that they had possessed and passed down generation to generation. With that, she is trying to bring Christianity back to her family on the island. However, some of them, she's met with tension. Some of them are wanting to keep the old ways, and then some of them are willing to embrace it due to wanting to travel north. But the fact that she chooses Christianity over her ancestors' spirituality is exiling herself within that act.
So another character that we see exiled throughout the film is Eula. She is exiled within her relationship with Eli. One of the major conflicts of the film was the fact that she was raped, or it is assumed that she was raped through the dialogue. And Eli is not sure if the child that she is impregnated with is his or not, and he is struggling with that. And we can see throughout the film that he starts to distance himself from her. She becomes aware of this. She struggles within herself. She questions her own position as a wife to Eli, although she has not done anything to disrespect their marriage or their union. But it causes a lot of friction within their relationship and the family. And we see a form of isolation within that.
Another character that goes through exile within her own experiences is Iona, who is the daughter of Hagar Peasant. Iona, actually, she's one of the younger characters, and she actually fell in love with one of the native men who also live on the island, and she wants to stay with him on the island. So their family will be leaving north, leaving Nana behind, but the family refuses to leave Iona. So from that, she also feels exiled from the family due to not being able to do what she wants to and stay with her love. So now we are going to do a little closer analyzation of Nana's character. Like I said, she is the grandmother of the family, wanting to stay due to wanting to keep the familial ties of the ancestors close to her, and the spiritual sense within their family. So she's refusing to leave with the family as they want to travel north.
The scene that we'll be analyzing to further show this isolation from the rest of her family is a scene at the beginning of the film. Eli and Nana are sitting outside in front of Daddy Mac Pezant's tombstone. He was the patriarch of the family. He has passed away. And at the beginning of the scene, Eli is stooped down by Nana. And as they begin talking, as he gets more frustrated, he gets up and walks away. The shot zooms out, and we see that Nana is still kind of stooped down by Daddy Mac Pezant's tombstone, and Eli is far off into the left-hand side of the shot. And there is an immense amount of distance between them. And I think that distance represents him almost leaving her behind and exiling her from the rest of the family, leaving her there with the ancestors in her world and kind of saying, I need to go into the new world where there are more opportunities.
This scene in the film represents a specific generation that still has ties to their African spirituality. And with slavery and the colonization of African people, this journey has started the process of losing some of that African spirituality. Nana's family has still been able to hold on to that spirituality as long as possible. And you meet the new generation of children, her children and great-grandchildren are ready to migrate, are ready to assimilate into the Eurocentric ideology of the North. So if you kind of look at it, you're seeing the generation who kind of gave up on their African spirituality to assimilate within the Eurocentric ideology, and some of this has probably been internalized, but how they have been raised outside of their community, whether they have traveled to learn about Christianity or been involved in other trades within the United States or other places within the world. And coming back to today's history, you see this complete disconnect from all African spiritual ties. And Eli's generation represents the generation that started to give up on it.
To expand on that, there is a quote within the article. It is on page 199, first paragraph. The last sentence of that paragraph, it says, the slaves and their descendants on the sea islands were always at a distance from Africa and from the mainland United States. And I think that this is really important to emphasize because it plays a pivotal part in understanding exile. Not only are they literally exiled from the mainland, separate from the United States, but they are starting to not feel a connection to their African ancestry. Connecting it to today, I would say that the distance from the African ancestry still exists. However, the hope for opportunity within the United States has become to feel like something that is intangible. So it has created this feeling of homelessness within people of African descent living in the U.S. They don't feel connected to Africa, and they also don't feel connected to the U.S. Going back to the scene with Eli and Nana Pezant, towards the end of the scene, Nana is telling Eli about African spirituality and the importance of it.
Call on those old Africans, Eli. They come to you when you least expect them. They hug you up quick and soft as the warm, sweet wind. Let them old souls come into your heart, Eli. Let them touch you with the hand of time. Let them feed your head with wisdom that aid from this day in time. Because when you leave this island, Eli Pezant, you ain't going to no land of milk and honey.
So during this portion of the scene, the shot switches from Eli and Nana Pezant to a shot of the women of the family dancing on the beach in all white. This scene looks very similar to rituals within the Yoruba culture. When the people want to call upon an Orisha, they gather wearing all white and they begin to dance in a very spiritual way. Nana Pazant is really the only one in the family who is really in touch with the Yoruba culture and the African spirituality. The rest of them know about the trinkets and the little things that she would do, but they don't seem to be really connected with it themselves. So the fact that they are dancing in this way really emphasizes Nana's words. She's saying in that scene, call upon the ancestors, let them touch your spirit. And in this scene, it seems as if the ancestors are touching their spirit and the ancestors are with them. The article points out a scene in the film. It's actually the first image shown in the film of Nana Pazant holding some dirt in her hands and the wind blowing the dirt out of her hands. The quote from the article on page 201 says, "The first image of the film is that of a wind blowing through a young Nana Pazant's hands. The screenplay describes the scene in diasporic metaphor. The soil, like dust, blows from her hands and through her fingers. This opening metaphor resonates throughout the film as the, quote, free Negroes, unquote, of the Sea Islands slip through Nana Pazant's matriarchal hands and move north, affirming that an exile situation is not resolvable, only recurrent and aggravated."
Nana knows she cannot keep her family grounded where they are currently located, so she tries to drill in their heads how important that their ancestral spirituality is, coming from Africa, and that they need to take it with them. However, she's met with resistance from her great-great-grandson and her great-granddaughters, and them also teaching it to their children as well.
We see Nana Pazant struggling with trying to hold on to her family. She's trying to use her spiritual connection to her ancestors and her African roots to keep them grounded and to create some kind of foundation for the family. But the family, the majority of them, feel that they would have better opportunities if they go north. And it creates this friction and tension between the two generations. In closing, I think that the writers of this article did a very good job at pointing out specific instances of isolation within the roles of the characters. She also analyzed the reasons for isolation existing within these character roles very well.